Welcome to Allie's Attic, where you never know what kind of surprise you'll find in my attic. I'm your host, Allie, and today my surprise is an independent country artist from Texas, and also a Latino country artist, which is rare, but absolutely wonderful. Please welcome Ashliegh Lisset. Hello, Ashliegh.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good.
That's awesome. Okay, so basically, I know all about you, and I absolutely adore you, and I love your songs. What I want you to do is, you are from Texas. You're on your way up. You're doing extremely well. I just want you to basically tell me your journey, when you started getting interested in music, when you started kind of recording, and right up to now.
Yeah, I have been singing for as long as I can remember. I started singing when I was 4, and it was all about The Little Mermaid for me. Part of Your World was the first song I ever sang, and my mom was kind of shocked because I hit every note, which was wild for being like a 4-year-old. But, I got older, and, I would always sing, but it was never something that I really was like, oh, I want to be a singer when I grow up. If I'm being honest, I wanted to be like a forensic pathologist because I liked crime scene and investigation. That was always my thing, and I was like, that's what I'm going to go to college, and that's what I'm going to do. And then, of course, when I was 11, tragedy kind of struck, and it really rocked my world, and I didn't really know what I was going to do next. My father was in the Army, and he was killed in action, and it was kind of that thing that just really made me sit back and think, what is the one thing in the world that I love more than anything, and that if I died, at least I can say I did this thing. Mm-hmm. And that was music for me.
Wow.
And it's just kind of been all about music since I was 11. And I didn't take my first trip to Nashville until I was 15, and at that moment, I realized stepping into the studio for the very first time, it was definitely going to be something that I knew that I was going to do for the rest of my life because it made me happy, and it was just kind of a source of healing for me, and it still is to this day. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of my story.
Yeah, well, it's a very good story. Now, your dad was in Operation Iraqi Freedom.
Correct.
And he was killed on the line of duty. Now, just before his unfortunate death, and my condolences to you and your family, Ashliegh, he had asked you to record Carrie Underwood's Don't Forget to Remember Me for him, but unfortunately you never had the chance to fulfill his request.
Correct. So in November of 2006, my parents are divorced, so my brother and we went to go visit my dad and his side of the family. He was here for R&R for 2 weeks, and we decided we were going to celebrate Thanksgiving earlier because he wasn't going to be here for the actual day. And he was a huge fan of Carrie Underwood. He loved American Idol. My dad was like a singer himself. He liked to do karaoke. It was just his thing. And I just kind of remember him saying, hey, I really would like for you to record this Carrie Underwood song. Don't forget to remember me. Will you please record it? Will you tell your mom? I'll talk to her, and we'll find a little studio around town, and we'll have you record it. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Again, I had just turned 11, and I kind of didn't really think about it too much because you don't really think anything bad is going to happen to you.
Yeah.
And, of course, 45 days later, he was killed in action, and it really bummed me out at 11 years old just to think, I hadn't filled that request. What would have happened if I would have recorded that song for him? But it's just one of those things where it's part of my story, and it kind of all came around full circle later on anyway. So it's very special to me personally.
Yes, and I can only imagine. Now, like you have said, you found comfort in music, and I know I do too. Music is a universal thing where there's always a song that's going to relate to something that you've gone through, or I guess as a singer-songwriter, you're going to be able to write something that resonates with you because of what happened to you. And I love that about music. Now, after a few years of doing this, you received a call which you'd been waiting and working towards. Tell us about that.
Right. So that was kind of crazy. I had received a call, they wanted us to come back to Nashville. They wanted us to record some songs, and they had actually sent music over to me. They were like, take your pick 2 or 3 songs, and we want you to come back out and we want you to record these songs. And for me, songs are very important, especially when they're sent to me. I like to go through and I listen word for word because I like to be relatable, and what I sing, I want people to know that I relate to this, and I hope that they relate to it as well. Mm-hmm. And I was in high school. I believe 17 at the time. When this song kind of came back into my life, because like I said, when I was 15, I went to Nashville and I actually heard this song and I couldn't record it because it was on hold for somebody else, and I didn't know who it was at the time. And so when it kind of came back 2 years later, I was like, am I allowed to record this? And I love the lyrics. It's all about love and experiencing that for the first time. And again, I was 17, I was in high school, and I had my first boyfriend, and I was like, okay, I like this song, like I relate to this. And they were like, yes, you can record it. It's not on hold for this artist anymore. And the whole time I'm thinking, like, who's this artist? Like, I really want to know who it was. Mm-hmm. And I didn't find out until actually after I had recorded the song. It was already mastered and everything. It was about a couple months later when they were like, who co-wrote the song, don't you? And I was like, no, I just kind of heard through the grapevine that it was on hold for a bigger artist, and that's why I couldn't record it. And now it's 2 years later, and I finally was able to, and I was like, I'm super excited about it. I was like, who co-wrote it? And they were like, well, Carrie Underwood's the co-writer on this song. And right at that moment, I was like, there's no way that this wasn't something that, my dad did not cook up for me up there, because I knew that this had his name written all over it. And, Kill the Headlights ended up being an incredible song for me. I mean, to this day, it's done a lot for me, and I'm so thankful for that moment, and to be able to actually record it is just incredible, and it's still one of my favorite songs. Yeah,
no kidding. And I love how you say that there was a guardian angel looking over you. Now, Carrie Underwood co-wrote it along with Luke Laird and Hillary Lindsay, who are also great in the industry. Now, Kill the Headlights experienced great success. This song was frequently featured on SiriusXM's The Highway as a highway find, but it also spent an impressive 8 weeks on the Highway's top 30. What did that feel like for you?
That was kind of like a super crazy time in my life. Thinking about it now, I'm 22 now, and I was, I believe, 18 at the time. Probably just turned 19. I think it was 18 though, and I was experiencing all of this. It was my first time on the radio, and it's kind of scary because you're putting yourself out there and you're allowing people to kind of judge you. And I know that that's a thing, with this industry, and I take all of it in stride. I'm thankful for everything that, whether people like it or not. I'm thankful that you listened to it and had an opinion. That's always kind of how I've been. And I was nervous. Like I said, I was 18. I didn't know what to expect. And it had actually premiered in early February on a Tuesday, and by that Saturday, it was already, I believe, number 40 on the Hot 45 countdown, which was incredible. I didn't know how to act or what to do. Twitter and Instagram were going crazy. People were tweeting and following, and I was kind of panicking because I wasn't used to kind of dealing with that large of an audience. Mm-hmm. But it was also really exciting. I had a lot of incredible opportunities. I got to visit CMP and do a lot of these interviews and meet a lot of incredible people. And, I was just super thankful for everybody that had put their hands on this project and had allowed me to meet other people. And, it's just incredible. I'm so thankful for everybody who has worked with me at this point in my life, because it's allowed me to grow as an artist, and I'll never get to really experience it like that again, but I hope that it'll come around again, if that makes sense.
Yes.
It was just a really cool first for me, and just very thankful for it.
Well, and that's why you're doing what you're doing. So yeah, it must feel so surreal. I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was really funny though, because I had been in Nashville when this premiered because I did my interview with Sirius XM and I had a bunch of stuff lined up. And then like I left and came back to Dallas and everybody in Nashville was like going crazy and we're like, who is this? And I was just sitting in Dallas in my bedroom and I was like, I don't even know how to act right now. Like, Mom, what is going on?
Oh my goodness.
So it was crazy.
Yeah. Now, okay, so along with going up to like top 30, what have you heard yourself on the radio or on Sirius XM?
Have I heard it? Like,
yeah.
when it was on the radio?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Actually, the first time that I heard it, I was in the car with my mom, and we were picking my sisters up from school, and I remember I was going like crazy because everybody else had heard it in my family, like, oh, you were on the radio, like, I heard you. And every time I got in the car and listened to Sirius XM, I never once heard myself, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I just want to hear it just one time. And I finally like heard it in the car because when it premiered, I listened to it through the app on my phone and I like cried because I was like, oh my gosh, like this is happening. Mm-hmm. But then when I heard it in the car, it was like even more real and I started crying even harder and I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, why is this happening? And it was just like a mixture of being scared but being really excited.
Yeah, I can't imagine. One of the things I love about you after discovering you, and I'm so thankful, and how, just so everybody knows, how I discovered Ashliegh is a lady that works, she writes columns about artists and stuff, and she actually emailed me and said, you have to check this lady out, and I checked her out and I was blown away. It's like, okay, I want her on my show.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Thank you for reaching out to me.
Yeah, exactly. It was awesome. Now, one of the things I love about you is you are humble and you are relatable to your fans and you make sure that you keep in touch with them through social media. And I think that is just one of the best things about any artist, because without your fans, you're not really anywhere. And I love that you do that.
Right. I love social media. I love Twitter, and I especially love, like, Instagram. And so being able to kind of share, pictures of my life and tweets and, get to talk with people about my music is just, like, one of my favorite things about it. I here in the last few months, when we released our second single, it really introduced me to a whole new crowd of fans. And, they're incredible. They will tweet me just really nice random things, and we like to send like memes and gifts back and forth to each other because it's just like this really funny thing that we all do. And I think that's incredible to be able to relate to people on that level. And I just never want to be one of those people that just isn't grateful for them, because at the end of the day, they're the ones listening to my music. They're the ones sharing it, which is more important than anything else. To have to share my music, you don't have to do that, but they always retweet and they always share, and they're like, oh, check this song out, and like that's just really cool to me, and I never want to lose that part of me.
Good. And please don't, because I love artists that are like amazing and have been out there forever and, are always number one and, winning country music awards and so on and so forth. I love the ones that still do that, like even if it's just one day per week, they have like, Twitter Tuesday or whatever the case may be, and they still connect with their fans. And I love that. And I think it's a very, very important thing to do. So I absolutely love that you do that. Now let's talk about, your latest single, because I absolutely love it. Now I love Carrie Underwood. I like the honor that you must have felt to be able to sing a song that she co-wrote just blows me away because she's your idol. But this lady is doing extremely well and everybody loves her. She's just a sweetheart. The song is co-written, if I could talk, by Kelsey Ballerini. Like, yeah. That is amazing. Now, how did... Go ahead.
It's all full circle for me, I feel like.
Is this really happening?
Right. I'm like, I have to pinch myself because I'm like, no way am I even like, I'm like, how am I worthy enough to even like, how does this happen? But yeah, Kelsey Ballerini, and I'm a huge fan of Kelsey Ballerini. Like, huge.
Yeah, so am I. Yeah, to have one of her songs is amazing. And it's also a beautiful song. I absolutely love it. So
good.
Yeah. So that is your latest single. It's doing really well. It's gonna, like, I know, like, Ashliegh, I interview so many people, like, all the time. And you just get a sense sometimes of the ones that you know are going to be on that stage, you know, winning a country music award or at least being nominated. And I can see you there. Like, it's just, you're so bubbly and you're so friendly and you're so down to earth and you have such a gorgeous voice. It blows me away. So yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to see you up on that stage. Now you are now represented by the William Morris Agency. Is that a management company?
So William Morris is actually my booking agent, and that actually happened. That was crazy the way that actually happened. It goes back to Sirius XM The Highway when I was on it in the morning with Stormy Warren. I was just doing my interview. I was telling my story as, you know, I did with you earlier in the interview. You know, I was just telling my story because, you know, it's a big part of who I am. And we had a lot of things going on that day. So after I left that interview, I had a couple like meetings and stuff we were doing with like CMT and stuff like that. And in the middle of one of our meetings, the guy that was representing me at the time came in and he was like, hey, he was like, so something crazy just happened. And I was like, oh, like, what is it? You know, I'm like thinking, what else? Like, oh my gosh, like nothing more can possibly happen because this is like incredible. You know, so I'm freaking out. And he's like, well, William Morris, the agency, the head guy up that runs the entire agency, heard your interview all the way from California. Like, he was up at 6 a.m. and was just listening to Sirius XM The Highway. And he was like, they want you to come by today. So we ended up going and visiting William Morris, and they welcomed me with, like, open arms, like, just incredible. And my agent there, she told me, she was like, you know, when that happened, we got calls. The phone was ringing off the hook here, and he told us that we needed to drop everything that we were doing, find you, and bring you in and have you a part of this, you know, booking agency. And it was, like, really crazy. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, it was, like, that serious? Like, I didn't think it was anything of it, you know, because, again, it's my story. But the fact that it had an effect on somebody in that way is just incredible. And that's why I do what I do, because I want people to know, like, there's healing after tragedy, and it doesn't mean that, you know, you have to confine yourself to this box. If you have dreams, you know, dream big. And
yeah.
I thought that was incredible.
Yeah, that is very incredible. Now, you aren't signed, correct? Like, you're independent?
I am independent.
Okay. I don't think you're going to be for long. Is one of your goals to be signed?
You know, I would say that it is, just because, I mean, when it comes down to it, for me, I'm not about the fame, I'm not about the fortune. That's completely not something that I'm about. Mm-hmm. It's always been for me to be able to record my music and to travel, because those are the two things that I love the most. I think being signed would be incredible, and it'd be like an accomplishment for me, like, after all these years. Like, I worked so hard, and I think just to be put on a tour is, like, the only thing that I could really ask for, is, like, just to be able to travel and sing. Like, those are the two main things for me. Yeah. So I would say it would be an incredible feat to, like, accomplish, though, for sure.
Well, like I said, I can see it happening. Now, who have you opened for? Like, you've opened for some big acts as an opening act.
I've opened for Jared Neiman when I was 18. And that was in Ohio. It was my first time I was ever in a bar. It was a bar show. And I was freaking out because I was like, what if they don't like me? Like, oh my gosh. And that Ohio show ended up being one of the biggest shows I ever had. And a lot of my fans that I gained, you know, from Twitter and stuff, they were all from Ohio. And I still talk to a lot of them, and they always ask them to come back. And so Ohio was, like, incredible. And then I opened up for Joe Diffie last year. And that was, like, really incredible. I mean, this is just a country music legend, and so to be able to do that was, like, really exciting, and it's fun for me to see, like, how their fans are, you know, interact and take to new music, and they were both, like, incredible crowds.
That is awesome. That is so awesome. I love Joe Diffie, and like you said, he is a country legend. I absolutely love him.
so good.
Now, let's talk about the fact that you are Latino and you are a country artist, because it is rare in country music. I'm like beyond happy that you are. Do you think, like, how do you think is it going to affect you? Is it going to make a difference? Like, are you proud of the fact that, you're representing? Like, how does that make you feel?
I always try to, put it aside. It's never something that, I just know him and put out there. But, people ask, and I'm like, yeah, I am a Latina, I am Hispanic, that's who I am, and I'm always going to be proud of who I am. But I think with this, I just want people to know that, country music is one of those genres where it's for everybody. And Latinos love country music. I grew up, like I said, my entire family is musical. My grandparents played guitar. We would have get-togethers. They would sing, and it's it's just something that I'm used to. They would sing the George Strait, and, it's something that I've grown up around, so it was never really, weird to me or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes down to it, country music bands remind me a lot of my heritage, where they're very lovable and they hold on to the things that are very important to them. And so it might be a little weird to some people, or maybe even scary, and I totally get it, to take a chance on something, that's different.
Mm-hmm.
But I won't allow it to, hurt my feelings or make me upset, because I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I just, at the end of the day, I love country music, and this is where my heart is. And I know that eventually somebody will come along and they're going to be all in, and we can just go from there. I think it's a really important time, to just love people and to be accepting. And so that's really just kind of been my thing. I kind of just sing, and people either like it or they don't.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's all about the music. It's not about, regardless of whether you're Latino or what, it's about the music. End of story. So yeah. Now, you're an ambassador for Folds of Honor organization. Explain what that is.
So Folds of Honor is, like you said, it's a military organization, and basically it helps people like myself, kids like myself, who have lost a parent in the war, and they help with your educational benefits. They give you scholarships so that these kids can further their education. Because, we know how hard it is when you're going from a two-person household to just a one-person income, and college just kind of seems so far sometimes. And so that's what this organization does, and it's just made things so much better for people like myself. And being able to work hand in hand with this organization has really made me open my eyes to there's people like me, and they're going through what I went through, and we can relate on this level. And so basically it's just all about giving back to military families. I encourage everybody that I meet, I'm foldsofhonor.org, go read up on them, and if you can donate anything, do it, $1, $2, whatever it might be, just do it. They're just incredible, and I cannot say enough good things about them.
That is awesome. And what a perfect organization for you to be involved with. Now, I know you're young, but you have had an incredible journey so far. So if you had any advice to give a brand new artist that was starting out, what do you think that advice would be, Ashliegh?
So something that's always really stuck with me is something that I actually heard from somebody that, in the industry that was kind of helping, mentor me with this one thing, and it stuck with me, and I tell everybody this exact same thing. I was like, be fearless in pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. It doesn't matter if nobody believes in you. If one person believes in you, that is all it takes. I think it's very important to know who you are and know your worth, and just to work hard. If I could tell you how many times I thought some things were going to happen where, we had this big thing happen, and then all of a sudden it just stopped, and, it made me want to give up. I'm like everybody else, but I think the most important thing is to just stay fearless and keep on pushing. That is the most important thing that I can tell people. Don't give up, because at least later on in your life you could say, at least I tried to do that. And being fearless is very important, especially when it comes to this industry. You just have to really know who you are and know exactly what you're wanting.
That's great advice. That is great advice. Now, let's talk about the 2 songs we're going to hear. What 2 songs are we going to hear from you?
So we're going to hear, of course, Kill the Headlights, which is my Carrie Underwood co-write. And then we're going to hear my current single, which is Good Vibe, which was co-written by Kelsey Ballerini. They're all available on iTunes, Google Play, even Spotify. And, of course, you're going to get to hear them here. And I really hope you like them.
Yes, and I'm also you can also visit Ashleigh's website, and I will have the link up on my website, so you can link right to her and learn more about her. You can, there's going to be a picture up on my website of her. She's absolutely gorgeous. Never mind her voice; she's just beautiful. And you can tell just by talking to you have a beautiful soul. And I wish you all the best and all the success in the world. And like I said, I hope I'm watching those country music awards one day and I get to see you up there, because that would be phenomenal. If you ever, you're welcome. If you ever come out with a new single, something exciting happens, you want to share it with me, this isn't a one-shot deal. You can always contact me on Twitter. And say, hey, I want to come back on. I want to talk about this, or I want to talk about that. The door is always open. Also, what I do for a lot of my artists that have been on my show is if they do have a new single out, I just throw it up on a page on my website called Odds and Ends. And it's just to promote you, so that when people do go to my website and they check that out, they can go, oh, she's got a new single, and they can hear it and, purchase it. So that's available to you as well. My main goal on this show is to help as many artists as I can, and I absolutely love doing it. And when you're talking about be fearless and go after what you love, that is exactly what I'm doing. So I'm so glad to hear it from you. It is the best advice ever. So I would love to have you back. If you ever do want to come back, I want to say thank you so much. I'm sure your schedule is very busy, and thank you for coming on my show. It was an honor to have you. And just,
Thank you for having me. As I said, I love doing stuff like this.
Awesome.
No matter how big or small, I'm always thankful.
Exactly. And that's exactly how it should be. But yes, thank you for coming on my show, Ashleigh, and all the best to you. And thank you for joining me on Allie's Attic. Keep checking my website, because you never know what kind of surprises you'll find in my attic. Cheers!